Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Mr. Authentic with the Gridiron Collective, bringing you last week of the NFL Free 3 ATS picks. So sad that the football season is coming to an end. Playoffs will begin, and we'll be having something a little different for the playoffs. So, don't worry too much. So long as games are scheduled, we're going to be here every week. Last week we finished 1-1-1, looking like a fucking slot machine, but not in a good way. The Ravens dominated. The Cowboys had one dumb play call that proved to be the difference in a cover and a push. And the Dolphins offense was flat with Tannehill crying for help. So let's dive into last week before we get into our upcoming picks for this week. Our first play last week, we had the Ravens over the Chargers plus 4.5. We kind of expected the Ravens to actually win this game, not even just have to cover the spread. As expected, the Ravens flat out dominated the highly overrated Chargers. When I saw this game, I took a very close look at most angles, and I felt very familiar with this Chargers team of pretenders. Every year they do the same thing. They look like the real deal, but little by little they continue to show their true form and their true identity of being just a bunch of losers. The last team they lost to was the Broncos. Tough defense, great ground game. Baltimore is better on both ends of the ball. It was an easy assumption to assume that the Ravens were going to come out and hammer the Chargers into submission, and that's exactly what they did. Best part about this game was seeing Keenan Allen get, shut the fuck down and shut the fuck up by the Baltimore's D. Chargers can't play good teams. The fans shouldn't get excited about this upcoming playoff appearance. It's undoubtedly going to be one and done for them. 2 picks, 4 sacks. Gus Edwards pounding the Chargers all night long. It was a beautiful thing to see. Great start to the week as the Ravens routed the Chargers and made it look very easy. Our second play, we had the Dolphins over the Jaguars minus 4.5. What a shit show of a game. Ryan Tannehill had only 22 passing attempts, 146 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick to match. Drake rushed the ball 6 times. Tannehill, half of that. Realistically, Adam Gase should have had the team much better prepared for this game. I have no idea what he was thinking. Honestly, I don't know why this offense has performed so poorly, but it's become more of an indication as to how much is needed as far as help is concerned. You had a missed field goal, millions and millions of 3-and-outs. Defense came to play and handled the Jaguars' offense, but Miami's offense just couldn't get cooking. They had Jacksonville with the ball on Miami's 17, and Miami pushed the Jags all the way back to Jacksonville's 47-yard line, forcing a punt. So the defense came to play. Miami had chances, many chances, but they didn't get into they didn't get onto the Jags side of the field but one time in that opening drive where they scored a touchdown. The first fucking drive, Miami didn't see the Jaguars side of the field for the rest of the game. It was crazy. Miami couldn't hit a field goal to tie the game, and with about 10 minutes left, Tannehill put the icing on the cake, throwing an interception right to Telvin Smith. He took it to the house. Game over. Here again, this was a game that Miami had a chance to win despite such a terrible offensive performance. And they need some playmakers on that side of the football. Tannehill has no real threats to target. Kenyon Drake just really isn't that good. I don't fault Gase, even though I thought he would have a much better game plan. He's been successful at masking various flaws in different players throughout the years, so it does become a little bit more difficult to gauge this team. Miami should have a better year next year as long as they can get some offensive pieces. It was a tough loss to watch them get beat the way that they got beat. Bad breaks all around for that game. Had us, shaking our heads at the television screen. The Dolphins, they didn't beat the Jags, and I'm sure that they're probably going to get pounded again this week. Our last play, we had the Cowboys over the Buccaneers minus 7. Despite what was a very dominant performance by Dallas, they they stuck us with a fucking push, I mean, giving up a garbage time late touchdown. I knew that once Dallas recovered the onside kick, it was pretty much over. One thing that I'll say is that Dallas made a stupid mistake calling a play on second down. It was second and goal. The ball was on Tampa's 3-yard line. And you throw a behind pass to Cooper, who gets hit for a 7-yard loss. It was just a stupid play. The defense came out aggressive, thinking that it was going to be run, of course, because Zeke. And Zeke got stuffed on the previous play, but it doesn't matter. You give him the ball, and I guarantee you he's going to score. I guarantee it. Dallas had to settle for a field goal on that drive, and that play right there to me was the difference between a push and a cover. Thanks a lot there, Cowboys. All right, so let's take a look at this week and what we're going to be selecting for our free three. Our first play, we're going to go with the Colts over the Titans -3. Both teams vying for playoff positions. Luck has a perfect record against the Titans, and I'm really not going to go against that this week. No. I'm not going to do it. Even though it appears as though Mariota is going to play this week, I actually think that plays into the hand of the Colts. Marcus is injury prone, and honestly, they need to let that kid heal. He might be considered healthy enough to play, or toughing it out through various injuries, but the coaching staff needs to step in and sit him down. He should have been sat weeks ago. He needs to heal for the betterment and the future of the young Titans team. This is not their year. They will not make the playoffs, and it's just better to rest Marcus for now. Don't buy the Henry hype. Don't buy it. Dude's too slow, too lumbering to make it work in this league. The Jags game was against the Jags, and without a couple huge runs, his shit would have been mediocre at best. That wide-eyed look and expression on his face was actual disbelief that he's getting these big runs and huge chunks of yards. It wasn't a look of intensity. He just couldn't believe that he was actually getting these big runs and taking it to the house. I love the running back position, thanks to TD. And I love to analyze running backs. I still need to dig a little bit deeper into Henry as a player, but my initial analysis of him is that he doesn't have the first step quickness to be great in the NFL. For a big dude that runs with power, he's terrible between the tackles. Colts don't have to worry about tight ends at all. Their quarterback is fucked up. Play the Titans receivers tightly and don't let Henry break out. It's that simple. Contain the outside, force him in. I strongly believe the Colts will come into this game way more prepared than the Titans, and the Titans will be making a mistake starting Mariota as he quickly ruins the team's chances of making the playoffs single-handedly. Give me the Colts over the Titans -3. Second play, we're going to go with the Ravens over the Browns -5.5. It was only last year that the Ravens were in the same position, looking to cling on to some hopes and prayers in order to make the playoffs. All they had to do was beat a trash Bengals squad to get in, and they couldn't do it. This year they find themselves in a similar spot, facing a divisional opponent, pretty much needing to win to get in. Good thing for the Ravens that they're using that as motivation to get them ready and going for this game. Cleveland is getting its own extra boost from Antonio Brown, changing his jersey to say Browns instead of Brown, blah, blah, blah. They had Joe Hayden reach out to his former teammates, kind of giving them a little bit of motivation, stressing the importance of this game and the importance to Schittsburg that the Browns go out and beat the Ravens. But it's like, what do you need to really call a divisional team and say, hey, beat this other divisional team for us, buddy? Oh, pal, fuck that. You guys are fucking enemies. You guys are rivals. You think that come on. They don't need a motivation from this. And honestly, the Steelers going out of their way and rooting for the Browns just shows you how awful this team is. But really, none of that matters. None of it matters at all. Throw all that shit out the window and realize that while Cleveland has completely become a different team than they've ever been in the modern era, they really changed that culture already, even with the half-assed season that consists of a handful of lucky wins here and there. Cleveland does like to compete, and I will give them that. They do miss Denzel Ward. It shouldn't be that big of a difference against Baltimore. Baltimore runs the ball and does it well. I see them controlling the game from start to finish, and Cleveland is going to be tapping out in the third quarter. I've seen reports about Suggs missing practice with a hamstring issue, but honestly, the Ravens have such extensive depth at that position. It's like, Zadarius Smith, you got Patty O, Bowser, Mosley. They could all get after the quarterback. It's not a big deal if Suggs doesn't play. It's nice to have him out there. Sure, of course, you want that veteran leadership. You want that extra oomph that he provides to the defense. I will say that, but I'm not too concerned in a drop off of production for this Ravens defense. They'll continue to get after Baker and make it difficult for him to get passes off comfortably. I think while Baker's having a lot of success, this is the type of defense that's going to feast on him and force him into those bad decisions that he's going to make and cause turnovers. The Ravens have the speed to contain and cover, so it's going to be a long day for Baker. It might turn into a shit show for him. It'll be tough for the Cleveland fans to end this season on such a sour note, but they have a lot to hold their heads high about for this season. And as far as going forward in the future of this team and this franchise, they exceeded expectations and overcame a lot of bullshit that was going on between the coaches and the front office. So, hey, hats off to them. They had a great run, but now it's over. The Ravens are going to win this game. They will win easily and cover the spread. We're riding Baltimore into the playoffs. For our last play, we're going to take the Texans over to Jaguars -6.5. Last time Houston was 10-5. They finished the season winning the AFC South and winning a home wildcard game. That very thing could happen this year with this Houston team. If things shake out the way that it stands, Houston will end up playing the Colts, which they split the series 1-1. Both teams beat each other by field goals, so either way, the matchup should be a fun one and a nice rubber match to decide the real series winner. I'm always a fan of divisional playoff games. Both teams know each other so well, they hate each other. It just makes the victories that much sweeter and the defeat it's that much, tougher to swallow. It's football. It's fucking fantastic. The Texans get to play the Jags at home, where they're 4-0 against the Jags when we're playing each other in Week 17 of the season. Watson has been throwing and having an exceptional year. Despite the slow start to the season, Watson has 26 passing touchdowns, 10th in the league, 9 picks, 6th fewest in the league. Watson hasn't thrown a pick in the red zone. Only other person to do that is Drew Brees and Kirk Cousins. That's it. 104.1 passer rating is 6th highest in the NFL. And only Drew Brees has more fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives this season than Deshaun Watson. Watson is mentally prepared to lead this team into the playoffs. The Texans will have, more than likely, they're going to use this Jaguars team as a statement piece before heading into wildcard weekend. Let me tell you how focused these Texans are on winning the game and making a run. They came in on Christmas Day to get work in. Players worked out, watched tape. They look primed for this finale of the season. I really believe the Texans come in and put an old-fashioned beat down on this Jaguars team. Give me the Texans -6.5 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, that'll do it for this week and the last week for the free 3. Once again, I'm Mr. Authentic, and this is the Gridiron Collective. Hit like, hit subscribe. The links are in the description below. We'll see you next week, and good luck, everybody.